Hello and thank you so much for joining me today on WOW's YouTube channel. My name is Sasha Reade and today I have got such a fun Christmas card idea for you where we are going to use embossing ink only and create beautiful magic with it using photo paper as well. So I've got this photo paper here. This is a premium photo paper, so it is a very glossy, very nice high quality photo paper, and we're going to use that today to make a Christmas card and some matching tags. So I've got some bauble dies which are from Gritty Christmas from Pretty Gets Gritty here in the UK. So I've got those dies. One is about A6 size and the other one you can see is just a little smaller one, and they're going to be perfect for making tags and our card. I'm actually going to make two of the same kind of background, one for the tags and one for the card front. These really awesome sentiment stamp sets from WOW, and I'm going to use them to do the front of my card as well as that large background stamp set there that you can see. And then the star of the show is going to be our embossing ink. So you want a nice sticky embossing ink that you can use for your background card making. So I'm taking my large panel stamp and I'm going to place that onto the back side of my photo paper. I've put my photo paper into my stamp platform and I'm putting it upside down just to pick up the stamp. The photo paper sticks really well to photopolymer stamps, and so you can find that you'll rip your photo paper if you stick it in the right way up the first time round just to get your stamp lined up correctly. So I've gone ahead and flipped that back around so the shiny side is now facing up. I'm going to ink up my stamp with my clear sticky embossing ink and I'm going to stamp that down. I'm going to press really nice and firm. We're only going to get one shot at this because we don't want to re-stick it in and we know the ink will all stick to it. So here you can see my photo paper, the glossy photo paper, and you can see that image nicely on the front of it. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my second one as well before I go and put my stamp platform away, and then I've got my two panels ready to go. Now I've not put any embossing powder on, I've not done any heat embossing at all, it is just the ink. I've gone ahead and made myself some DIY spray bottles, and I'm just going to refill this one on the camera for you so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking some water-based, water-reactive ink refill. So anything that reacts to water will work. So this is the Distress Ink Uncharted Marina, I believe is how you say it. And I've put a full squidge into my little spray bottle, and this is a 30 ml spray bottle, and then I filled it halfway to 3/4 of the way with water. And then the other one is picked raspberry in the other spray bottle, and all I'm going to do is spritz down onto my baking tray. I'm using a baking tray just because it keeps it all nice and contained and then really easy to clean up. Obviously don't use this for cooking if you're going to use it for inking, but here's the magic. All we used was embossing ink, so no embossing powders, no heat gun, nothing. And the photo paper is amazing. It absorbs that color super quick. You get this gorgeous, beautiful background, and then the embossing ink resists all that color going on it. So I'm going to do a second one here and pick it up. Whatever you've got in your stash, as long as it's water reactive, this technique should work for you. So if you've got some like explosion powders or pixie powders, they will work as well. Anything that's got a colored pigment to it that's water reactive, you can do these great, amazing backgrounds. Look how glossy and shiny and pretty that is. Right, so we are going to work to make our backgrounds and make our little sentiment backgrounds, and the best way to kind of have it all work together is to use the same colored ink. So I am going ahead and doing a piece of cardstock for my sentiments, and then this one here is for the background for my die cut element. So I'm going to make sure those are dried really well, especially the one that we're going to heat emboss on, because we do not want that heat powder, the embossing powder, to stick to it. So you do a little test, you just shake some on, and if it doesn't stick, you're good to go. You can heat emboss. If it sticks, you need to dry it a bit better. I decided while I had my stamp platform out that I would do a few different sentiments. I like to do a few anyways, just in case if I mess up, then I've got a couple more spare. But also then I've got some ready to go for some cards in future. So I've got Merry and Christmas ready. So I'm going to use a ruler. I'm just going to push it against the edge of my stamp platform and then make sure that my stamps, my little sentiment stamps, are lined up on that. And then I get a really nice straight and even set of sentiments which are easy to cut out using a paper trimmer. So I did this about 4 times, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss them with the super fine gold embossing powder from WOW. This is a really great embossing powder for when you want to do sentiments or really fine stamped images. You get really amazing detail with this. So I'm going to go ahead and melt my embossing powder, and then I've got my sentiments ready to go. We'll come back to that in a minute and I'll cut them up once I've got my card ready. So I've got my 2 panels. I'm going to cut my larger bauble out of one panel, and then I'm going to cut 2 smaller baubles out of the other panel to create my little matching tags for my gifts to go with my card. So So off screen, I go ahead and run this through my Big Shot die cutting machine, and I get 2 of the small ones and 1 of the big ones. Now I also took some white cardstock and I cut out 4 of the larger ones to add some bulk. In retrospect, I would have done 3 because it is quite thick and chunky by the time I'm done. And then I also did an extra one in plain white cardstock for each of the tags so that I can stamp on the back of my tags. Because it's photo paper, it's quite glossy and smooth on the back as well, and it's really difficult to adhere any kind of ink to the back of your photo paper, so it's quite nice if you want to glue on some cardstock onto the back, and then you can kind of have a bit of a play a bit more. Now I felt like the edges were quite bright and white because I added all those extra elements, so I'm dusting the edges with the same Uncharted Marina color and going around the edge, which then adds a bit more pop off of that element as well, and it looks quite cool on the card. So here's my background that I created. I've inked up the edges of it as well so that it's nice and dark around the edge, and then I decided that actually I wanted to add a bit more gold onto it to kind of tie in the gold that I used on the sentiment. So I'm just lightly running my embossing pad along the edge and then pouring some powder onto the edges of it, and then when I heat set it, I've got this gorgeous sort of gold edge to that front panel. So when that's done, I can start putting the card together. I can stick that down on my card base. I've got a nice little edge border around that top panel, and then I'm going to stick my embobble onto the front. Now it obviously looks a bit funny when you've not got anything stuck to the top, so I thought I would tie a nice little bow, and I've got this sheer ribbon in my stash, so I thought this would work really nice. So I speed this up because you don't need to watch me make a bow, it's quite boring, but all I'm doing is just making a bow out of that sheer ribbon, and then kind of getting it nice and tight in the size I want, cut some nice little edges to it, and then I'm going to hot glue that onto my card. Because it's such a raised up chunky element, I just thought hot glue would probably be the way to go with sticking that down. I found a cute little gem which I thought would be perfect for the center of it. It's a nice little purpley colored gem. I thought that just kind of finished off that top bit really nicely. So then I can go ahead and cut out my sentiments next and get those ready to go on my card. I popped them up with a little bit of foam tape just so that they kind of stand out a little bit more because they were blending into the background quite a bit. So pop it up with a little bit of foam tape, and that finishes off the front of my card. And I absolutely love that chunky element. It's really beautiful and really shiny. It just has this glossy amazingness to it. For my tags, I decided to add on one of these sentiments from this set from scrapbook.com. In retrospect, I kind of wish I didn't do the stamped background on them and just left them colored as they were and not had sort of the gifts showing through, because it does make it a bit more chaotic. So if I did them again, I would just do it without having the first bit of stamping, just so I've got these cute little matching tags that coordinate really well, and then you could see the black ink a bit better. I'm going to add a to and from onto the back of my tag, so that when I stick these onto gifts, the recipient can see who it's from. So if I did like a little gift bag, I could attach it to the gift bag, and then they've got a matching tag and card. So that is my full tutorial for today. I also did this same technique, and I shared a few different ways and methods to have a play with this same technique over on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link down below for you. It's a bit longer of a video, it's about half an hour long. And I go through loads of different ways to have a play and create some really awesome Christmas cards again over there. So that link will be down below for you if you want to check out my personal YouTube channel and follow me along over there as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on WOW's YouTube channel on this video. I will do my best to follow along with the comments and reply to any questions below. Thank you!